My daughter threw coffee at me because I refused to give my credit card to. My name is Travis, and at 61 years old, I never thought I would be standing in a crowded shopping mall with hot coffee dripping down my face and shirt. After 39 years of working construction, to give my daughter Cassandra everything she needed, this is how she repaid me. All because I refused to hand over my credit card to someone who had already taken so much. The shame burned worse than the coffee as strangers stared. Before I tell you how I got here, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button too, because this story might just save you from the same heartache I endured. I grew up in a small town outside of Detroit, where my father worked at the automotive plant, and my mother cleaned houses to make ends meet. We never had much, but they taught me the value of hard work and saving for what matters. By the time I was 22, I had saved enough from my construction apprenticeship to put a down payment on a small starter home and proposed to my high school sweetheart, Sophia. Sophia was everything I ever wanted. Kind, beautiful, and she believed in me when no one else did. We got married in a simple ceremony at her parents' backyard. Nothing fancy, but it was perfect for us. I promised her that day that I would build us a good life no matter how hard I had to work. When Sophia told me she was pregnant just a year later, I felt like the luckiest man alive. I started picking up extra shifts immediately, wanting to make sure our baby would have everything they needed. The day Cassandra was born changed my life forever. Holding that tiny bundle with her mother's blue eyes, I made a silent vow that my daughter would never know the kind of struggle I grew up with. As Cassandra grew, so did my career. I moved up from apprentice to journeyman, then crew leader, and eventually construction foreman by the time she started elementary school. The work was backbreaking, 60, sometimes 70-hour weeks in all weather conditions. My body ached every night, but seeing Cassandra's face light up when I came home made it all worthwhile. "Daddy, look what I drew today," she would exclaim, running to the door with her latest artwork. I saved every single drawing, even framing some for my office. Those moments were what I worked for. Unlike my own childhood, Cassandra never had to wear hand-me-downs or worry about school supplies. Sophia stayed home to raise her, and I made sure they both had everything they needed and most of what they wanted. Maybe that was where things started to go wrong. By the time Cassandra was 8, I noticed she had developed a particular way of getting what she wanted. If I said no to a new toy or dress, the waterworks would start immediately. Sophia would give me that look, and I would usually cave. "Travis, she is just a little girl. Let her enjoy her childhood," Sophia would say. One Saturday morning when Cassandra was 10, I tried teaching her about saving money. I bought her a pink piggy bank and explained how she could save her allowance for bigger things she might want later. "But Daddy, why do I need to save? You can just buy it for me," she replied with complete sincerity. That response troubled me, but Sophia laughed it off. "She is just being honest, Travis. She will learn as she gets older." As Cassandra entered middle school, I noticed how she would carefully study what to say or do to get her way. If I was tired from work, she would bring me my slippers and a cold drink before asking for money for the movies. If Sophia was stressed, Cassandra would offer to help with dinner right before requesting permission for a sleepover. One incident stands out clearly in my memory. When Cassandra was 12, she wanted an expensive pair of designer jeans that cost more than I spent on clothes for myself in a year. "Everyone at school has them, Dad. If I do not have them too, no one will want to be my friend," she explained, her voice trembling. I tried explaining that true friends would not care about the brand of her jeans, but Sophia pulled me aside. "We can afford it, Travis. Do you want her to feel left out? Remember how that felt when you were young?" That argument always worked on me. I had grown up as the kid with patched jeans and off-brand sneakers. The memory of that humiliation was still raw decades later. So I gave in, not realizing I was teaching Cassandra that emotional manipulation was an effective strategy. By the time Cassandra reached the end of middle school, I had promoted to senior foreman, and our financial situation was comfortable. We had moved to a larger home in a better school district, and Cassandra had her own bathroom, the latest clothes, and a new computer for schoolwork. But no matter how much we provided, it never seemed to be enough. The more we gave, the more she expected, and the foundations for the troubles ahead were firmly in place. Cassandra's transition to high school marked a new chapter in our family dynamics. At 14, she was beautiful, popular, and knew exactly how to work a room, including her parents. While I was proud of her confidence, I was increasingly concerned about her spending habits and attitude toward money. Her freshman year homecoming dance became our first major financial battle. Cassandra came home with pictures of a designer dress that cost nearly $800. "Dad, this is the most important night of my life. Tiffany Anderson's parents bought her dress from Paris. I am only asking for one from the mall," she argued, making it sound like she was being reasonable. "Cassandra, $800 for a dress you will wear once is not reasonable," I countered. "We can find something beautiful for $200. What followed was 3 days of cold shoulders, tearful phone calls to Sophia at work, and finally a compromise at $500 that felt like a defeat. The pattern continued with winter formal, spring fling, and every other social event. Each time the baseline expectation increased. When Cassandra turned 16, the topic of a car arose. I had been saving for this moment and planned to match whatever she saved from her part-time job at the local boutique. I thought it would be a good lesson in working toward goals. Dad, Jessica's parents got her a brand new Volkswagen for her birthday. "I have been thinking something similar would be perfect," she announced at dinner one night. "Cassandra, we discussed this. Mom and I will match what you save for a reliable used car," I reminded her. "But why should I have to drive some old junker when you can afford better? You just finished that big hospital project. I know you got a bonus," she shot back. That bonus was earmarked for Sophia's mother's medical bills, but I had not shared that with Cassandra. Somehow she always knew when money came in and immediately had plans for it. The car argument lasted weeks. Eventually, we compromised on a 3-year-old Honda that cost far more than I had budgeted. The day I handed her the keys, she hugged me for the first time in months, and I felt that familiar mix of joy and manipulation. During her junior year, the first major credit card incident occurred. Sophia had added Cassandra as an authorized user on her card for emergencies only. One month, the bill came in at nearly $4,000. Clothes, restaurant meals, concert tickets, and salon visits. When confronted, Cassandra broke down in tears. "I just wanted to treat my friends sometimes. Everyone thinks we are rich because of Dad's job. It is so embarrassing when I cannot pay for things." "We work hard for our money," I said firmly. "I pull 12-hour days in the heat and cold to provide for this family." "It is always about how hard you work," she shouted. "Maybe if you spent more time at home instead of at work, you would understand what it is like to be me." That cut deep. I had missed school plays, tennis matches, and parent-teacher conferences because of work. Work I did for her. Sophia, seeing my hurt, intervened. "Travis, let me handle this," she said gently, taking Cassandra upstairs for a serious talk. The consequence, Cassandra had to help around the house for a month. Meanwhile, I picked up weekend shifts to cover the credit card bill before interest hit. Senior year brought the college discussion. Cassandra had good grades, but not scholarship-worthy. She had her heart set on Preston University, a private school costing over $50,000 annually. "Their business program is the best, Dad. If I want a good job after graduation, this is where I need to go," she insisted. I had saved for her education since her birth, but not enough for Preston. I suggested our excellent state university at a third of the cost. "You want me to fail in life," she accused during dinner. "All my friends are going to good schools. You are punishing me for not being a genius with scholarships." After weeks of tension and tearful arguments, I made a decision I would later regret deeply. I took out a second mortgage on our home to cover the difference in cost. "You will not regret this investment in me, Dad," Cassandra promised, hugging me tightly. "I will make you so proud." The sincerity in her eyes made me believe her despite the pattern we had established. As she packed for college that fall, I could not help but feel both pride and apprehension about what lay ahead. Cassandra's college years revealed a side of my daughter I had been reluctant to acknowledge. Within her first semester at Preston University, the emergency calls began. "Dad, they are requiring this special software for my business class. It costs $300 and I need it by tomorrow," she explained during one late-night call. "The cafeteria food is making me sick. I need to eat off campus, but my meal plan money is all paid to the school," was another frequent complaint. Each time I would transfer money to her account, often skipping lunches myself to make up the difference. Sophia encouraged my generosity. "College is hard enough without worrying about money," she would say. "Besides, Preston will open doors for her future." During Cassandra's sophomore year, she stopped coming home for shorter breaks, claiming study groups and projects kept her on campus. Through social media posts that she forgot I could see, I discovered the truth: shopping trips to New York weekend, getaways with friends to beach houses and parties that looked nothing like the study sessions she described. When I cautiously questioned these discrepancies during a rare phone call, her response was immediate and defensive. "Are you spying on me?" "Those trips were educational. The business department arranged them," she insisted. Later, I would find charges for hotels and restaurants on weekends when these educational trips supposedly occurred. Midway through her junior year, Cassandra called with excitement in her voice. "Dad, I have met someone amazing. His name is Jackson Whitfield. His family owns investment properties all over the East Coast." Jackson became a fixture in our increasingly rare conversations. According to Cassandra, he was studying finance, drove a luxury car his parents gave him for his 20th birthday, and took her to restaurants where appetizers cost more than my entire dinner budget for a week. During Parents' Weekend that spring, I finally met Jackson. Handsome and well-spoken, he had the polished confidence of someone who had never worried about money. What struck me most was how Cassandra changed around him, adopting new phrases, laughing at different things, even changing her appearance with more expensive clothes and professionally colored hair. Jackson's father might have an internship for me at their family office this summer. She mentioned over brunch not making eye contact with me. I would need to stay near campus instead of coming home. That summer was the first since she was born that Cassandra did not spend any time at our home. Sophia was devastated, but tried to hide it. "She is building her own life," she told me, though I could see the hurt in her eyes. When fall came, the financial requests escalated. One particular call in October remains vivid in my memory. "Dad, there is this investment opportunity Jackson told me about. I only need $5,000, and I could triple it by Christmas," Cassandra explained breathlessly. For the first time, I firmly refused. "Cassandra, if it is such a great opportunity, why is not Jackson's family investing in it?" "They are, but I want to show them I can do this on my own," she argued. "No, Cassandra, I will not send money for some vague investment scheme," I stated firmly. What followed was a week of silence, then a tearful call to Sophia, claiming I did not trust her judgment and was trying to embarrass her in front of Jackson's family. Sophia and I had our first serious argument in years over this. "She is trying to impress her boyfriend's family," Sophia defended. What is wrong with supporting that? What is wrong is teaching her that she can emotionally manipulate us into giving her whatever she wants, I countered. Ultimately, Sophia sent the money from her personal savings without telling me. I only discovered this months later when Cassandra never mentioned the investment again. Graduation day should have been one of the proudest moments of my life. Instead, it became a symbol of how far Cassandra had drifted from us. We sat in the audience straining to hear her name among hundreds of others. After the ceremony, we waited nearly an hour to get just 5 minutes with her, as she flitted between Jackson's family and her friends, introducing us almost as an afterthought. "This is my dad, he works in construction," she said to Jackson's parents, her tone suggesting apologetic explanation rather than pride. There was no mention of how that construction work had paid for the degree she now held. As we drove home that evening, Sophia seemed unusually quiet. Later that night, she complained of chest pains. The doctor's visit the following week brought devastating news. Sophia had a heart condition requiring expensive treatment. The timing could not have been worse. I was approaching retirement age and our savings had been depleted by Cassandra's education. "Do not tell Cassandra," Sophia insisted. "She is just starting her career. I do not want her worried about me." I reluctantly agreed, postponing my retirement plans to cover the mounting medical bills. While our daughter posted pictures of post-graduation trips to Europe with Jackson, I took on consulting work during weekends to keep up with expenses. The distance between the life Cassandra portrayed and the reality we lived grew wider by the day. The years following Cassandra's graduation revealed how the seeds of entitlement we had inadvertently planted had grown into a deeply rooted tree. Despite her business degree from Preston, Cassandra bounced between jobs, never staying more than a few months at any company. "The corporate environment stifles my creativity," she explained after quitting her third position in 18 months. "Besides, Jackson says I do not need to settle for just any job." Meanwhile, her social media showcased a lifestyle far beyond what an entry-level position, or even sporadic employment, could support. Designer clothes, upscale restaurants, weekend trips to luxury resorts. When I cautiously inquired about their finances during one of her rare visits home, she waved away my concerns. "Jackson's family connections open doors. We are networking for our future," she replied dismissively. What Cassandra did not know was that I had begun receiving concerning calls from creditors. Somehow, credit cards had been opened in my name at addresses I did not recognize. The discovery came when I applied for a loan to cover Sophia's increasingly expensive treatments. "I am sorry, Mr. Travis, but your debt-to-income ratio is too high for approval," the loan officer explained. "You have several maxed-out credit cards." An investigation revealed the painful truth: Cassandra had used my personal information to open accounts. She had access to my Social Security number from college financial aid forms, and apparently my trust as well. The total unauthorized debt exceeded $30,000. When confronted during a Sunday dinner at our home, Cassandra's initial denial quickly transformed into tearful justification. "I was going to pay it all back before you even knew," she insisted. "Jackson and I have investment opportunities coming through any day now. I did it for us, for our future." "Cassandra, this is identity theft," I stated plainly, my voice shaking. "It is a crime." "A crime against who? Dad, family helps family. After everything you and Mom taught me about the importance of appearances and keeping up with others, you are being a hypocrite." I looked at Sophia, expecting support, but instead saw conflict in her eyes. Even facing this betrayal, she could not bring herself to hold our daughter accountable. "Travis, she made a mistake," Sophia said softly. "We can work through this as a family." "A mistake is forgetting to return a phone call." This was a deliberate decision made repeatedly over months, I countered. In the end, to protect Cassandra from legal consequences and to preserve what remained of our family, I agreed to pay off the fraudulent accounts. The cost depleted what remained of my retirement fund. As a condition, I demanded Cassandra seek financial counseling. She agreed tearfully, but I later discovered she never attended a single session. 6 months after the credit card incident, Cassandra announced her engagement to Jackson. The enormous diamond on her finger probably cost more than my first house. "We are planning a June wedding at the Lakeside Manor," she told us over dinner. "Nothing too extravagant, just 200 guests." When the wedding planning began, it became clear that nothing too extravagant meant different things to different people. The venue alone cost $30,000. The expectations for our contribution were simply stated but enormous. "Traditionally, the bride's family pays for the wedding," Cassandra reminded me. "Jackson's parents are handling the rehearsal dinner and honeymoon." Sophia, whose health had been steadily declining, pulled me aside after Cassandra left that evening. "Please, Travis, this is important to her. We can make it work," she pleaded, though the worry lines around her eyes had deepened. I agreed, not for Cassandra, but for Sophia. I took a loan against my 401k to cover our portion of the wedding expenses, knowing the tax penalties would be severe. The wedding day itself was beautiful but surreal. I felt like an extra in a production rather than the father of the bride. Cassandra spent more time with the photographer and Jackson's family than with us. When I gave my speech at the reception, I noticed her checking her phone under the table. The moment that broke my heart came during the father-daughter dance. As we moved across the floor to the song Cassandra had chosen, not the one she and I had discussed, but one Jackson's mother suggested, she whispered, "Try to look happy, Dad. Jackson's father's business associates are watching." Not "thank you," not "I love you." Just concern for appearances to impress people who meant nothing to me but everything to her. 2 weeks after the wedding, Sophia's condition worsened dramatically. While Cassandra and Jackson were still on their 3-week honeymoon in the Maldives, Sophia was admitted to the hospital. My desperate messages to Cassandra went unanswered for days. "The international service is spotty," she explained when she finally called back. "We will cut the trip short by a few days. Mom would want us to enjoy what we already paid for." Sophia held on long enough to see Cassandra one last time, though the visit lasted barely an hour before Cassandra mentioned a dinner reservation they could not miss. The next morning, my wife of 38 years squeezed my hand weakly. "Promise me you will always be there for her," Sophia whispered. "I promise," I replied, though something inside me had begun to break. Sophia passed peacefully that night. Cassandra flew out the next day for a previously scheduled meeting with Jackson's business partners, after arranging for her assistant to help with funeral preparations. At the service, she accepted condolences with practiced grace, but I noticed she spent much of the reception networking with attendees who had business connections. As I stood alone in our home that night, surrounded by Sophia's things and decades of memories, I realized how truly alone I had become. The daughter we raised was physically present in the world, but emotionally absent from my life. And the woman who had been my partner through everything was gone forever. The months following Sophia's passing were the darkest of my life. Our home, once filled with warmth and family photos, felt hollow. I would wake up reaching for Sophia only to find her side of the bed empty. Some days getting out of bed seemed impossible. Cassandra's visits became increasingly rare and painfully predictable in their pattern. She would arrive unannounced, make superficial conversation about her life with Jackson, and eventually work around to the real purpose of her visit money. "Dad, you look like you are doing better," she said during one such visit 3 months after the funeral. She glanced around the living room critically. Have you thought about selling this place? It is so big for just one person. This is my home, Cassandra. Mine and your mother's, I replied. I know, but practically speaking, the market is hot right now. You could downsize and have a nice nest egg. She continued, her tone businesslike. Actually, that is sort of why I came by today. Here it was, the real reason for her visit. Jackson has this amazing opportunity. His business partners found a property that would be perfect for our first home, but we need a bit of help with the down payment, she explained, not quite meeting my eyes. How much is a bit? I asked, already knowing it would be substantial. Just 70,000, she replied casually, as if asking to borrow a book. We would pay you back once Jackson's investment deals mature. I sat in stunned silence. $70,000 would deplete what remained of my savings after Sophia's medical bills and funeral expenses. Cassandra, I do not have that kind of money available, I explained. Between your mother's treatments, the funeral costs, and the credit card debt I had to pay off. You always have excuses when it comes to helping me, she interrupted, her voice rising. What about all that retirement money? Mom would have wanted you to help us. The mention of Sophia as leverage ignited something in me. Do not tell me what your mother would have wanted. She is not here to defend herself because she spent years stressing over family conflict that you created. Cassandra stormed out that day, accusing me of choosing money over family. It would be 2 months before I heard from her again. During that time, I made a startling discovery about Jackson's family and their supposed wealth. Through a chance conversation with a former client who moved in those social circles, I learned that the Whitfield family business had collapsed years ago amid allegations of mismanagement. Jackson's father had leveraged their last remaining assets to maintain appearances, but they were essentially living on credit and reputation. This revelation explained much about Cassandra and Jackson's persistent financial requests. They were not building a future. They were desperately trying to maintain a facade. When Cassandra finally called again, it was with news that she and Jackson had purchased their dream home anyway. It is absolutely perfect, Dad. 5 bedrooms, pool, home theater system. You should see the kitchen, she gushed. How did you manage the down payment? I asked cautiously. Jackson found investors, she replied vaguely. But that is actually why I am calling. The mortgage approval hit a snag. We need a co-signer with strong credit, just temporarily. Warning bells rang in my mind. Cassandra co-signing makes me equally responsible for the loan. If you miss payments, it affects my credit and financial stability. Do you really think we would miss payments? She asked incredulously. Dad, this is our future home we are talking about. Something compelled me to do research before giving an answer. What I discovered sent chills through me. Jackson and Cassandra had a history of defaulted loans and late payments stretching back years. 3 landlords had filed for eviction before they mysteriously received payment. A small business loan in Jackson's name had defaulted the previous year. Credit card judgments, tax liens. They were financial disasters waiting to happen, and they wanted to tie my future to theirs. When I gently declined to co-sign, explaining my concerns about their credit history, Cassandra exploded. You had our finances investigated. How dare you invade our privacy like that? This is exactly why Mom always defended me from you. She understood family loyalty. Her words cut deep, but for the first time I stood firm. I am not co-signing a loan I know you cannot afford. Over the next several weeks, the pressure intensified. Jackson called with veiled references to my obligation to help Cassandra after all Sophia sacrificed. Cassandra sent emotionally manipulative messages about starting a family soon and wanting their children to grow up in a nice neighborhood. Then came the threats. "If you do not help us, you will never see your grandchildren," Cassandra texted one night. "Is that what you want, to die alone with no family?" The decision I made next was the hardest of my life, but ultimately necessary for my survival. I consulted a financial advisor and an attorney. Then I sold the family home and moved to a modest condo in a different part of town. I placed the majority of the proceeds in protected retirement accounts that could not be touched by anyone but me. When Cassandra discovered what I had done, her fury was apocalyptic. "You sold our family home without even telling me I grew up there." "What about my inheritance?" she screamed over the phone. "The money is secured for my retirement," I explained calmly. "After I am gone, whatever remains will go to you." "That could be 20 years from now." "We need it now," she cried. The final escalation came when Jackson's parents entered the fray. They called one afternoon, suggesting we all meet to discuss the family situation at an upscale mall near their country club. Though every instinct told me to decline, a small part of me hoped for reconciliation. Perhaps with others present, Cassandra would be more reasonable. I could not have been more wrong. The day of the mall meeting arrived with an unseasonably warm spring temperature. I dressed carefully in a button-down shirt and khakis, wanting to make a good impression on Jackson's parents, despite my misgivings. A small, persistent hope lived in me that this meeting might somehow begin healing the rift with Cassandra. Savoy Mall was the most exclusive shopping center in our area, with marble floors and luxury brand stores I would never dream of entering. We agreed to meet at an upscale coffee shop on the second level, nestled between a jewelry store and a designer boutique. I arrived 15 minutes early, selecting a table with a view of the central fountain. My hands trembled slightly as I ordered a simple black coffee. At precisely 2 o'clock, Cassandra appeared looking polished in an outfit that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. Behind her trailed Jackson and an older couple I recognized as his parents from wedding photos. "Dad." Cassandra greeted me with a kiss on the cheek that felt performative. "This is Harold and Diana Whitfield, Jackson's parents." Harold Whitfield extended a manicured hand. "Travis, good to properly meet you. Shame about the circumstances." Diana merely nodded her eyes, evaluating my clothing and appearance with barely concealed judgment. "Can I get anyone coffee?" I offered, trying to ease the tension. "Already taken care of," Jackson responded, motioning to a server bringing a tray with 4 elaborate coffee drinks. Nothing for me. The conversation began with surface pleasantries about weather and traffic, but I could feel the underlying current of tension. Finally, Harold cleared his throat. "Travis, we will be direct. This situation with Cassandra's home financing needs to be resolved," he stated flatly. "Family supports family in times of need. That is how we were raised." "I understand family support," I replied carefully. "But co-signing a mortgage for a home that costs nearly $2 million goes beyond support into financial entanglement." "Dad exaggerates," Cassandra interjected. "It is only $1.8 million. Diana Whitfield leaned forward. "Our children are trying to establish themselves in the right neighborhood with the right connections. Surely you want that for Cassandra." "Of course I want her to be happy and successful," I responded. "But they have already been denied by 3 banks. That suggests the loan is beyond their means." "Temporary setbacks," Harold dismissed with a wave. "Jackson has several ventures about to mature." As they spoke, I noticed all 3 Whitfields exchanging glances, as if following a rehearsed script. Cassandra kept touching her purse nervously. "Actually," Jackson suddenly pivoted, "we have another proposition that might be more amenable. A business opportunity instead of the house." "A guaranteed return," Harold added quickly. Minimum risk. Cassandra reached for my hand across the table. Dad, this is perfect for you. We just need your credit card to secure the initial investment position. 50,000 gets you founder status. My credit card? I repeated, stunned by the audacity. Just for the registration fee, Jackson explained smoothly. The main investment comes later, but this reserves your position. In that moment, everything clicked into place. This was not about family reconciliation. It was an ambush, a coordinated attempt to pressure me into something. What exactly is this business? I asked. The explanation that followed was textbook pyramid scheme language, multi-level wellness distribution, passive income streams, geometric growth patterns. They showed slick brochures with luxury cars and tropical vacations promised to top-tier affiliates. Dad, the Whitfields have already invested. They're friends from the club, too, Cassandra urged. We saved a founder position for you as family. I had spent hours researching investment scams after discovering Cassandra and Jackson's financial troubles. This had every red flag. Pressure tactics, promises of unrealistic returns, exclusivity claims, and urgency. This is a pyramid scheme, I stated flatly. Harold's face reddened. How dare you? This is a legitimate business opportunity. People just like you are making 6 figures. Then they can fund your position, I replied, starting to stand. I am not giving you my credit card. Cassandra's expression changed from persuasive to furious in an instant. After everything we have done for you, everything you have done for me, I repeated incredulously. Cassandra, I worked 60-hour weeks for 30 years to give you opportunities. I paid for your education, your wedding. I covered the credit cards you fraudulently opened in my name. So now you are throwing that in my face, she hissed, conscious of nearby shoppers beginning to notice our conversation. You are my father. You are supposed to help me. I have helped you, more than helped you, but I will not fund a scam that will only leave you deeper in debt, I stated firmly. I turned to leave, my heart breaking anew at what our relationship had become. I heard her chair scrape back as she stood. Do not walk away from me, Cassandra shouted. I felt something hit my back, then scalding heat spreading across my shoulders. The coffee she had thrown burned through my shirt. I turned in shock to see Cassandra standing with the empty cup still in her hand, her face contorted with rage. The cafe fell silent. Other shoppers stared. A child at a nearby table began to cry. The shame was overwhelming, not just from the scene itself, but from the recognition of how completely I had failed as a parent to raise a person who could do this. Sir, are you all right? A concerned server approached with napkins. Security is on the way. As mall security converged on our table, Cassandra's anger transformed into theatrical tears. He was abandoning us again, she sobbed to the bewildered security officer. He never cared about me. I did not defend myself. I simply accepted the napkins' declined medical attention and walked away while security sorted out the situation. The burning on my back was nothing compared to the searing pain in my heart. In the parking lot, I sat in my car for nearly an hour, unable to drive as tears blurred my vision. The little girl who once ran to greet me after work was gone, replaced by someone I no longer recognized. And in that moment, I finally accepted that no amount of money sacrifice or love could bring her back. The weeks following the coffee incident left me hollow and disoriented. I moved through my days mechanically, waking, eating, sleeping, without really living. The physical burns healed quickly, but the emotional wounds festered. For the first time in my life, I wondered if I had any reason to continue. One particularly dark evening, as I stared blankly at a TV show I was not really watching, my doorbell rang. Expecting another delivery I did not remember ordering, I was surprised to find my former construction colleague Frank standing there with a casserole dish. "Heard about what happened," he said gruffly. "Thought you could use some company, and Carol's lasagna." That simple act of kindness broke something open in me. Over dinner, I found myself sharing the whole painful story. Frank listened without judgment, then said something that changed everything. "There is a group that meets at the community center. People whose adult kids have cut them off or are using them. Might do you good to know you are not alone." 2 days later, I reluctantly attended my first meeting of Parents Healing from Estrangement. Sitting in that circle of strangers, former teachers, doctors, plumbers, all walks of life, I realized this pain crossed all boundaries. As each person shared their story, I recognized pieces of my own. Harold, a retired accountant, became a particular friend. His daughter had drained his savings for repeated emergencies before disappearing completely when the money ran out. The hardest part was accepting that I could not fix her problems, he explained during coffee after one meeting. Loving her meant letting her face consequences. Through these sessions, I began to understand that my relationship with Cassandra had been built on financial transactions rather than genuine connection. Every problem in her life had been solved with my checkbook instead of guidance. My intentions were good, but the results had been devastating for both of us. Seeking something meaningful to fill my days, I volunteered at the community center's financial literacy program for young adults. Using my decades of experience managing construction budgets, I helped teach basic skills, creating a budget, understanding, credit, saving for goals. During one Saturday workshop, a young woman named Lily approached me with questions about student loans. In her early 20s, with determined eyes, she reminded me of what Cassandra might have been under different circumstances. "I am working full-time while taking night classes," she explained. "But these interest rates are killing me. I will be paying these loans until I am your age." I spent an hour helping Lily restructure her approach, showing her how to target the highest interest loans first. Her gratitude was so genuine it almost embarrassed me. "You explained this better than anyone at the bank or school," she said. "Would you mind if I came back with more questions next week?" Those weekly financial mentoring sessions with Lily expanded to include other young people struggling with similar issues. For the first time since Sophia's death, I felt truly useful. These young adults valued knowledge and guidance more than money. The opposite of what I had experienced with Cassandra. 6 months after the mall incident, a certified letter arrived from an attorney representing Cassandra and Jackson. They were threatening legal action, claiming entitlement to a portion of the proceeds from the sale of my home as Cassandra's inheritance. Years earlier, this would have devastated me. Now, after consultation with my own attorney, I responded with a calm, boundary-setting letter documenting the financial support already provided and declining any further assistance. "Your clients have received substantial financial support throughout their lives," my attorney wrote. "Mr. Travis has now secured his remaining assets for his retirement, as is his legal right. Any further harassment will result in counteraction." The threatened lawsuit never materialized. Instead, I heard through mutual acquaintances that Jackson and Cassandra had moved to another state after their rental home was foreclosed upon. Almost exactly 1 year after the coffee incident, I was volunteering at a community financial planning event when I spotted a familiar figure across the room. Cassandra, looking noticeably less polished than the last time I had seen her, was standing in line for the Rebuilding After Credit Problems workshop. Our eyes met briefly. Hers widened in recognition, then darted away in what appeared to be shame. She did not approach me, and I respected the distance. Later, I learned from the event coordinator that Cassandra had come alone, no Jackson in sight, and had requested information about local job opportunities. That glimpse gave me a complicated mix of emotions, concern for her welfare, hope that she might be seeking positive change, and a surprising sense of peace. I had spent decades trying to protect Cassandra from consequences, but perhaps facing them was exactly what she needed. As I built my new life, volunteering, mentoring, making friends at the healing group, I slowly rediscovered joy. Sophia would have wanted this for me. Not bitter estrangement from our daughter, certainly, but also not endless self-sacrifice that enabled destructive behavior. One evening, after helping a young couple create their first joint budget, I realized something profound: love without boundaries is not really love at all. It is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of watching someone you love struggle. True love includes the courage to let people face the natural consequences of their choices. I keep a small photo of Cassandra on my desk. Not the polished, artificial version from recent years, but a candid shot from her childhood, laughing with chocolate ice cream on her nose. That joyful child still exists somewhere inside the woman she became. I may never reconnect with her in this lifetime, but I have left the door unlocked. The greatest lesson I learned through all of this pain was that giving someone everything they want is not the same as giving them what they need. Sometimes the kindest gift we can offer is the dignity of allowing people to make their own mistakes and find their own way back. Where do you draw the line between supporting your family and enabling destructive behavior? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And remember, setting boundaries is not about withholding love. Sometimes it is the most loving thing you can do. Thank you for listening to my story, and may you find the strength to make the right choices in your own relationships, even when they are the hardest ones.